Hello, my name is Lisa, and honestly, I've only read about situations like this in novels and movies. To experience it myself? Not in a million years. So here's my story. I was a single mother who thought I'd faced just about every challenge that could come my way. Life had me standing on my own 2 feet, raising my son Jason, and managing the ups and downs of being a single parent. Family, to me, was sacred. I believed in its strength, even if that meant building it on my own. Then I met Daniel, a warm-hearted widower. His kindness brought a spark back into my life in a way I hadn't felt in years. Our connection felt effortless and genuine. Soon enough, our love blossomed, and not long after, we got married. Along with Daniel came his teenage son, Ethan, who was quiet, reserved, and often lost in his own world. I wanted to connect with Ethan, make him feel welcome, and show him that he was part of our new blended family. But every time we spoke, I felt like I was tiptoeing through a minefield. There was a distance between us that neither of us fully understood. One evening, after a particularly long day, I was so exhausted that I drifted off on the couch. Half asleep, I heard footsteps down the hallway. When I opened my eyes, I saw Ethan sitting across from me with a contemplative look on his face. "You fell asleep," he murmured, almost as if he was afraid to disturb the quiet. "Yeah, I guess I did," I replied, rubbing the sleep from my eyes. I looked at the clock. It was just past midnight. For a moment, we just sat there in silence, the room thick with an unspoken tension. I decided to break the ice. "Ethan, do you want to talk?" I asked softly, my heart pounding a little. He hesitated, his face full of emotions he seemed to be trying to hold back. Finally, he spoke. "I don't know. Things feel different since you and Dad got married." His words caught me off guard. I had assumed he was adjusting well, but it hit me then how tough this change must have been for him. "Change is hard," I said gently. "I know it can feel overwhelming, but I'm here if you ever want to talk." He looked down, visibly struggling with his feelings. "Sometimes I feel like I'm losing my dad," he said quietly, "like there's no place for me anymore." A surge of empathy washed over me. I remembered feeling similar things when my family had shifted and changed in the past. Taking a steadying breath, I said, "Ethan, you're not losing your dad. He loves you so much and nothing will change that. We're a family now, and families stick together." As I spoke, I saw a flicker of recognition in his eyes. "Thanks," he whispered, his voice so soft it was almost lost in the quiet. "I think I needed to hear that." The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It felt like a newfound closeness was settling between us, a bond that felt promising. Finally, sensing the intensity of the moment, I suggested, "How about a movie?" He smiled, his posture more relaxed than I'd seen in a long time. We watched a movie together, and I felt a calmness that was both comforting and new. It was like we had taken a small but meaningful step toward understanding each other. In the days that followed, something felt different, warmer, more open. A few weeks later, on a lazy afternoon, I decided to bake chocolate chip cookies, something I knew Ethan liked. The scent of cookies filled the kitchen, and just as I was taking them out of the oven, Ethan walked in. "Wow, smells amazing in here," he said, a genuine smile breaking through. "Want to help?" I offered, hoping to share the moment. He agreed, and we ended up laughing and chatting as we worked together. It felt good to see him open up, even if just a little. We talked about his interests, and he mentioned thinking about joining the drama club. There was a spark of excitement in his voice, but also a hint of self-doubt. "What if I'm not good enough?" he asked, looking at me with worry. "You'll never know unless you try," I said, hoping to encourage him. "And I promise, I'll be there for your first performance." A look of surprise and hope crossed his face. "Really? You'd do that?" "Of course," I said with a warm smile. Just then, the oven timer beeped, and I went to check on the cookies. When I turned back, I noticed him watching me, and the room felt charged, reminding me of the night we had shared our feelings. After that, we sat at the table, savoring warm cookies, and continued talking. Our relationship had grown stronger, but I sensed a new layer of tension, as though there were questions left unasked. At one point, he hesitated and then said, "Is it weird for me to talk to you like this? I mean, you're my stepmom now." I paused, wanting to choose my words carefully. "Not at all, Ethan. I want you to feel comfortable talking to me. We're family. and family should be able to share what's on their mind. He looked down at his cookie, his brow furrowed. Sometimes I feel like I'm betraying Dad by getting close to you. My heart ached for him. You're not betraying anyone, Ethan. Loving people doesn't take anything away from anyone else. Your dad and I both care about you very much. He nodded, but I could see the lingering uncertainty in his expression. That evening, after he had gone to his room, I sat in the quiet kitchen, feeling the weight of our evolving relationship. I knew our connection was growing, but I was also aware of the boundaries we needed to keep intact. Our family bond was taking root, and while there was still much to navigate, I felt hopeful that we were on a path to genuine understanding and closeness. In the days that followed, I noticed small but undeniable changes in how Ethan and I interacted. There was a warmth in the house that hadn't been there before, a subtle shift in how we spoke to each other and spent time together. One evening, as Daniel was working late, I decided to surprise Ethan with his favorite dinner. I figured it would be a nice gesture, something to make him feel seen and appreciated. As I was finishing up in the kitchen, I could hear him laughing from the living room, the sound of his video game filtering through. A smile crept onto my face, but there was a flicker of concern too. Was I stepping too far into his world? I shook it off, setting the table and calling him in for dinner. After we'd eaten, we settled onto the couch, the familiar glow of the TV casting soft shadows around us. But tonight, Ethan was quieter than usual. He looked thoughtful, almost hesitant. "Everything okay?" I asked, sensing his shift in mood. "Yeah, just thinking," he replied, not meeting my eyes. "About what?" I pressed gently, curious about what was on his mind. He took a deep breath, then met my gaze. "I've been thinking about what you said, about family and feelings." His honesty caught me off guard, a mixture of curiosity and worry rising in me. "What do you mean?" I asked, keeping my tone calm, though my heart was racing. "Sometimes I feel really close to you," he admitted softly, a hint of confusion in his voice. "And I don't know, it's just confusing." His honesty hung in the air, and I felt my heart tighten. It was clear he was wrestling with emotions he didn't fully understand. I wanted to reassure him, to let him know it was okay to feel that closeness, but I was also aware of the delicate boundaries we both needed to respect. "It's okay to have feelings, Ethan," I said gently, "but we both have to remember our boundaries. That's important, for both of us." He looked down, his face shadowed by uncertainty. "I don't want to mess anything up," he murmured. "I just really value what we have." We sat in silence, the weight of his words settling between us. I could feel the fragility of our situation, the tenderness of the connection we'd built, and how much it mattered to him. Just as I was about to say something reassuring, he reached out, giving me an unexpected but gentle hug. It caught me off guard, but I hugged him back, letting him know I was there for him. As we sat there, it felt like we were both acknowledging the depth of our bond without needing to say a word. It was a moment of quiet understanding, a connection that spoke volumes in its simplicity. "Thanks for everything," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "I needed this. Just knowing I'm not alone." "You're never alone," I replied softly, patting his shoulder. "We're family, and family is there for each other, no matter what." After a moment, we settled back onto the couch, watching the rest of the movie in comfortable silence. I couldn't help but feel a quiet sense of pride, knowing that we were creating a foundation built on trust and openness. For Ethan, I could see that this was more than just a step. It was a chance to feel secure and valued in our new family. And for me, it was a reminder of the power of patience and kindness, of simply being there when someone needs it most. In the days that followed, our interactions took on a new lightness. Ethan started sharing more about his day-to-day life, his worries about school, and his plans for the future. He was more at ease, his guarded walls slowly softening. I felt like we were finally building the family I had always dreamed of, one where love, respect, and understanding came first. Looking back now, I know it was a journey for both of us, a journey of finding trust and mutual respect in a relationship that had started with uncertainty. But through it all, I've come to see that sometimes the quietest connections, the ones built slowly over time, are the ones that last longest. And as I watched Ethan grow and feel at home in our family, I knew I'd found something rare, and beautiful. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more heartfelt tales like this, don't forget to subscribe and be part of our community. Join us as we continue to explore stories of family, resilience, and connection. Let's build a space where we can all share, learn, and grow together. Subscribe now and be part of this journey.